Hey, I'm Andrea, more well known, I think, as Magic Moonshot. I'm a Halo caster and content creator. I'm actually fairly new to Halo as far as like the scene would be concerned. Just joining up when Halo Infinite launched, actually, and really thankful to be here.
Magic, how did you get into casting?
Yeah, so I started casting actually because I was just hosting my own like community tournaments, which wasn't in Halo actually at the time, but I just loved competition.
What game did you start with?
What's that?
What game did you start with?
I used to do Destiny, a lot of Destiny, like 5,000 plus hours in Destiny, but I also did some Apex Legends. I did Fortnite for a while, and so I would just like host my own tournaments for the community with like either no prize pool or like very small because I just loved it. Like I just love the competitive. I come from a background of athletics, like traditional athletics. I was an athletic director, so then kind of taking those skills and like finding a way to transition it into esports. So I didn't really set out to like be a caster. I just wanted there to be more competitions. So I kind of like wore all the hats. So that's kind of what led me here. I actually did a couple of like paid casting jobs with Destiny, which a lot of people don't even know that they exist. They're
I didn't know they existed.
There's a few out there. And then like that transition to Halo Infinite was really kind of like taking that to the next level.
Is that like your favorite game to cast, or do you have like a favorite game that you casted before?
Halo Infinite is my favorite to cast. I do also love like battle royales are really fun, but it's totally different. Like it's a separate like mentality, a separate rhythm. So like Apex Legends is really fun to cast. I did some PUBG tournaments a couple weekends ago. I was talking to you about that. So I like battle royales in that sense, but Halo is still like, it feels like home when I'm casting. Like it's like, this is where I'm meant to be. I do like having like kind of back to your point of like turning on your lights is like your mental signal of like, hey, it's go time. For me, it's like a whole separate space, and I really enjoy that it is separate, and that it makes me like easier to mentally detach. I think.
You feel like you're going to work,
right?
Because that's what I struggle with. I just wake up and just go to this, like I just be in the same room like all day. I just be like, I just need to leave the house. Like I was about to like move my setup to my parents' house so I can drive somewhere and go like. Just feel like I'm going to work.
I know some streamers do that. They'll like actually like rent a room or an office so that they have that like separation. So I mean, I get to say hi to my chickens when I walk out to my shed. So it's a little. I know this is not the normal gamer experience. I'm sorry.
If you had to choose between like casting and content creation, do you have like, are you leaning towards something you like more?
Yeah, absolutely. It's casting at this point. I think I would have had a different answer like a year ago, but for now, like. Obviously, with a lot of, Friday night weekend tournaments and stuff, I had to make that decision. Like, am I going to stick to my regular streaming schedule, or am I going to break it in order to cast events? And I was like, when you do that thing that makes you like feel alive, that is casting. So as much as I love streaming, and I still am keeping my channel going as like a little bit more of a personal connection, right, to the community. Casting's really like where my heart is at.
Are you ever like put off by casting because it's just like a very male? Like you saw the lineup for like this tournament. It's just Lottie and then just men everywhere. Are you ever like put off by that, or does it help like fuel you?
I mean, the short answer is no. Like I mentioned, I was an athletic director before getting into like gaming and esports, so I kind of was used to being in like a male-dominated space in that sense. But if anything, I feel like it fuels me that much more because I want there to be more female competitors. I want there to be more females on the big stage. So I really like take that on myself of like, not that I need to be up there, but that's like my motivation, I guess. Like that's the motivation behind what I do. So it's not like being intimidated by the number of guys that are up there, but like it does make me want to work harder.
Do you have any advice for like any women or actually like anyone that wants to get into casting?
Yeah, I mean, I guess my story is kind of different because I just kind of like fell in my lap as far as like casting was concerned. I'm really grateful to Halo because there's been several people, including like yourself and Veronica, that were some of the first ones to say like, hey, you're into casting, here's an opportunity, and like push me out of the nest, so to speak. But it does take some like preparation up front to be at that point where somebody can shove you out of the nest and you can try to fly. But I would say just like start small. If that means making your own tournaments, if it means casting like non-paid tournaments, just like get that experience so that you can build up your comfort level and learn like your own personal style. And then from there, it's really about creating a network around you, because like the esports space is very small. So any opportunity you're given, make sure to like capitalize on it, build some connections, and like just go out there, be as easy to work with as you can be, have a good time with it. And then I guess the last thing would be, I would just recommend like finding your own personal style. Like not everybody's gonna come out on the stage and have like the caster voice, right? Because I've heard people do that. Like be willing to show your own personality, whether you're on a small stage or a big stage. It should still be you that you're presenting.
Oh, this one was for Magic. Do you have like a certain like caster you look up to, or like someone you model your style after?
Okay, so you kind of prepped me for this question, which I appreciate, because this is a hard one, right? Because no matter what I answer, I'm not going to be able to like say everybody.
Cut to commercial and let you think.
As far as casting, I will say that somebody one time compared me to Tony, and I was like, that's like the biggest compliment ever. So as far as like the energy and the passion and the work ethic, obviously someone I like super look up to. But as far as like more of like what brings out like my best casting style, it has to be like my duo Mikowski. I love casting with Mikowski because we're both fairly like intellectual and also competitive, but I feel like we're on the same like wavelength when we cast together. So I would say either of those are like a couple of my favorites.
What do you think is the hardest thing about casting?
Like in general or for me personally?
Yes.
Both. Yes.
The hardest thing for what I'm working on right now, like this is like very personal, like looking forward to like season 2 and any opportunities there. I'm working on like improv better, like playing off of people, and I've had people giving me some really good feedback about like, here's what you need to do to improve. So that's what I'm working on, because casting is like, you don't script it, right? Like you take what's given to you. So just being able to like improvise a little bit better. And then the other thing I would say is the dynamic range. Like you cannot be hype screaming all the time. You need to have a little bit of variety.
If everything's exciting, nothing's exciting.
Yes. Like I'm really excited to be here, but I'm not going to scream about it the whole time, you know? So you got to find a way to like hype up the big moments, but then also be able to like bring that energy back and build. See, we had the best of both worlds, because like our house was always like the Xbox house. I'm not trying to kiss up, really, but our neighbors had the PlayStation. So like we would go over, get the PlayStation games, they'd come over and get the Xbox games. So we played like Crash Bandicoot and stuff over at their house, and that's where I remember.
You didn't say Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, Crash Bandicoot, man. And then they'd come over and we play like Donkey Kong 64 was my first like competitive multiplayer game. You know, I should cast a Donkey Kong 64 tournament. Can we make that happen? That would be.
I'd be down.
I mean, pretty cool.
The one with the bongos?
I get first rounded, but
I remember that.
Is
Yeah.
that something else? Because I'm
No,
just
it was a Donkey Kong game that came with bongos, because my sister actually
I was
had
thinking
that.
about competing in that. We're just all.
That would be even better. Take it to the next level.
so if you could cast any game, you would pick that game?
Donkey Kong 64 esports.
Very
Make it
serious
happen.
esports happening here.
That's
They
right.
should host an event, and you should cast it.
Can I add to my answer?
Yes.
Okay, so like early gaming memories was like Super Mario Brothers 3. So I did complete that, but also Star Fox 64 gets an honorable mention. I was a barrel roll queen, I have to admit. And I remember going off to college, and my brother calls me, and he like never calls me, and he calls me up and he's like, I just beat your high score in Star Fox 64, and he was like so proud. I'm like, I'm literally in another state for college, and you're gonna
Time to go home and like show them who's who.
Yeah, we'll see on Christmas break, little brother. We'll see what's. As far as like closing notes, I just wanted to, when we were asking us all about like our advice for other people wanting to get into these career paths, I just thought it was really interesting how we all had very similar points that were basically like, just start somewhere, and network with people in the positive sense of the word networking, and then also like find your niche or like personalize it to your style. And I think that kind of like, as far as like to summarize like across the board, I think that applies across like many realms for people that like want to get into the scene themselves.
Be yourself, be kind, and network. I think that's really like, if you distill it down, like those are the three, like just three super core things.